Welcome to Traders Consigliere Weekly Analysis. So before the start of the week, we look at the fundamentals and the technicals so we can identify upcoming trades or potential trades. So we look at the previous week fundamentals to see if our biases have changed. Then we look at the current upcoming week and what to expect. Then we will be looking at technicals. So from the previous week, we had a few major news statistics. So we had Japanese yen, we had core CPI, which came out at 3.1%, a bit higher, which is a good thing for them, right? Because they want inflation to go up because they deflated the currency for way too long. We have core durable good orders and durable good orders, which came in a green, right? Higher than the forecast. And in fact, higher than the previous month, showing inflation is still persisting. These numbers need to be coming in red if the rate hikes are working. So inflation still seems to be persisting here with this statistic. And consumer confidence is also very high with the dollar at 109.7. So a lot of good news. I mean, technically looks like good news. Consumers are still confident in the market, but they still haven't felt much pain of the rate hikes yet. So this is not a good thing for the Fed, right? So they would be looking at these statistics, even home sales, because the retail sales, the home sales are still a bit too high. So that's interesting. On Wednesday, we had Bank of England, Bank of Japan, and Fed Chairman Powell speak. They reiterated the same things. Governor Bailey said they still are looking to hike rates and inflation is still persisting. Bank of Japan Governor Ueda, he mentions they still don't seem to change their dovish stance, their bearish stance on the Japanese yen. They still want to inflate the currency. And Fed Chairman Powell again mentions there may be 2 more rate hikes or more, which I think is bullish for the dollar, right? No more. He mentions there will be no rate cuts this year. So on Thursday we had final GDP come out for the dollar. This number came in at 2%, right? Much higher than the forecast and the previous month. So it seems that GDP has grown even though the rate hikes are in effect, right? So this number shouldn't be growing, right? This should be coming in stagnant or in the red. So this is a good thing for equities and risk on assets. That's why we saw a bit of a rally with equities like S&P 500, US30, Dow Jones, and NASDAQ, right? So that's interesting. Unemployment claims came in low. So we had pending home sales which came in negative, which is a good thing for the Fed, right? So that's interesting to see. Final GDP for the British pound came in stagnant, 0.1%. So core PCE price index came at 0.3%. So not a big difference there that would shake up the market. So nothing more interesting from previous week. So in the coming up week, the first week of the month and the first week of the third quarter, right? So we have ISM manufacturing PMI on Monday. Tuesday we have a bank holiday, so I won't be trading on Tuesday. I'll take the day off because of lower volume in the market, low volatility. So best to stay away. On Wednesday we have FOMC meeting and probably the OPEC meeting. If you're trading oil, you can keep an eye on. So FOMC meeting minutes is the meeting minutes from the previous FOMC meeting, the recorded minutes. So this could give us maybe more insight to what happened in the FOMC meeting. So very important to keep an eye on this. On Thursday we have ADP non-farm employment change, which is a precursor to NFP. Also JOLTS job openings. So this statistics comes before NFP and gives us an idea of the labor market, right? So important statistics to keep an eye on. And obviously on Friday we have NFP. This on Friday I'll probably avoid taking trades on Friday, because on NFP days I usually avoid trading because of the volatility. But very important statistic to keep an eye on. And if you do look at the forecast, is it's forecasted to come in lower from previous month, right? Because previous month we had a very high statistic. Hold on. Here. So previous month, you see how much higher it came from the forecast and the previous month. So this statistic, the coming week, can tell us if the previous month statistic was a outlier, or does this seem to be the trend. All right, let's look at technicals now. Yeah, let's look at the dollar index before we look at the other pairs. So we look at the monthly first, because the month of June just ended, the candle closed, and on the monthly chart we do see a consolidation, right? Not a lot of details here on the monthly, but on the weekly we see price double bottom here, right? But the thing that I don't like is this bearish descending triangle, and we see buyers hold support but sellers are pushing price down. So I don't like that yet, but my sentiment for the dollar still remains bullish. So what I would like to see happen is if price can break through this descending triangle, but if not, if price does break through below this support here, then my bias would be shifting to bearish dollar, right? Bearish sentiment. So for now, this is something I'm keeping an eye on the dollar indexes. And we do see price do bounce off the demand zone that I had drawn out from the previous week. So that has happened, but yet I want to see this whole structure here break through. Alright, so let's look at British pound dollar first, the cable, before we look at the other pairs. So let's start with the monthly as well. So the monthly time frame is bullish, right? So it's quite bullish. We see bullish structure all the way through, and towards the left we do see still a possible price rally happen, right? But this depends on the fundamentals. So it's bullish on the monthly. On the weekly also remains bullish, right? We see structure bullish. We see the last structure point retested as well. So it does look bullish, and this candle shows me there's a weakness with the sellers. Sellers are dying off, and possibly we get that push to this supply zone that I drawn out from the previous week. So we're looking to take longs for now, at least. So on the daily time frame, it's a bit bearish here, right? On the daily time frame, and if you do see the last daily candle closure, it's retested the last structure break, right? So leg 1, leg 2, leg 3 possibly, but I would like to not take short positions yet in the middle of nowhere. I want to see if price can give us that retracement back to that point that I mentioned from previous week. So that last point that I mentioned at 1.25 100 area hasn't yet been retested. So I would like to see this area here to see what kind of reactions we get to possibly take long positions from here. So that's the same analysis from the previous week. If price doesn't give us this push and actually pushes all the way through to the the supply zone here, the unmitigated supply zone, then possibly I'll be keeping an eye on how price reacts through here. Yeah. So let's look at British pound Japanese yen on the monthly time frame first. Very bullish, right? Very, very bullish, and pretty much mimicking the same rally that's happened last time, right? But what do we see happen if you draw a line there horizontally? But let me draw a proper line there. So if you see the line there, what do we see happen? Price has almost mitigated the last price gap that happened on the monthly time frame, pretty much. So on the weekly, what do we see also happen? We see price actually being very bullish, right? And now what do we see happen with the bodies of the candle? We see this massive body, we see smaller and smaller body, right? This shows the buyer's volume is dying off. Also, it's in an area of supply, area of unmitigated price gap on the monthly. So I expect price to be pulling back now, right? I was expecting this price pullback last week, but price did want to clear off all the price gaps there. And now if you look at the daily, That's what's happening, right? So we see how we had this massive push and then a smaller push, and now price is slowing down, right? So I expect price to pull back again. Let's go down to the lower time frame. Let's look at 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, we see clearly that now price at the moment has made a double top, and we see this as the base here. So I would like to see if price can break through this base down here, right? This structure. And if this does break, possibly I might be taking counter trend trades, possibly targeting the next areas of demand, right? Which could be here, which could be here, which could be even down here, right? So this is something I'll update in the group, the counter trend. But I would like to see price actually retrace all the way towards this demand zone here from the previous week, right? Because we didn't get the retest yet. And this is where we saw the massive impulse happen, right? At 1.74830, that area there on the M30 time frame. So this is an area I would be looking to take long positions from, possibly massive risk rewards. So that's with British pound, Japanese yen. So let's look at gold. Gold has been interesting this week. It's finally moved. So let's look at the monthly time frame first. Monthly remains the same. We saw massive triple tops, right, on the monthly time frame. Price then retraced this month, the month of June, the previous month, but structure still remains technically bullish, right? Structure still remains bullish. I would like to see this area here break for it to be completely bearish. So monthly yet remains bullish, but we are seeing indications of bearish pressure, right? Sellers in the market. On the weekly time frame, we see so weekly is interesting because we see a push, we see consolidation, and then now we see bearish structure. But this last bearish candle closed with a very low volume, right? Low seller volume in the market. So and the reason for that is, if you go down to the daily time frame here, this is the demand zone that I had drawn out from the previous week. If you go and check, so what we see happen, price enters the demand zone and completely rejects off the demand zone, now giving us a push towards the top, right? So I expect price to fill in some of the gaps here before it makes a push down, because on the weekly and the daily here we are bearish, and my sentiment with the dollar still remains bearish. So on the 4 hour chart here, the point of interest still remains the same. So the area here at 1950 and 1954, around this area here, is where I'll be looking to take a short position. Same analysis from the previous week, but I was hoping for price to actually give me a push up, then drop to the demand zone, but price chose to drop to the demand zone, react off here, right? So I would expect price to come up, fill up some gaps here. If possible, if price can retrace all the way through here, this is where I'll be taking a short position from. So analysis still remains the same on the gold. I'll be keeping an eye on also on gold to see what happens around here once the price opens up for the coming up week. If possible, there can be counter trend buys, but that's something I'll update in the group. So let's look at SPX, S&P 500 on the monthly first. On the monthly, we see clearly, right? Clearly bullish. There's no mistaking in that. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Yep, so weekly is interesting. We see bullish, right? Clearly bullish, and now it has hit a area of supply on the daily time frame. And you see how price has slowed down there at the moment, right? Price is now slowed down here and has taken out the last highs here, right? So I'll expect to see if price can hold the supply zone and then give us a pullback, right? Because we are bullish on SPX, and the GDP from last week also showed us that there can be a potential rally with these risk on assets. So possibly I'll see a pullback happen here. If that happens, we can, if price does break structure around these areas, possibly I look to also take a counter trend, which I'll update in the group. But For now, the position that I'm still remain is this 4310 area, exactly the same from the previous week, right? Because the month of June with the price action has been very slow, really bad, right? So expecting this month to possibly give us those moves, right? But again, it's a summer month, so the volume may be a bit low, so be a bit careful with taking your trades. So this is something I'll be keeping an eye on. I want to see price retrace towards this area at 43,110 and then possibly take longs, or during the week, if I see structure do break on those pullbacks, possibly take even counter trends trades. But that's something I'll update in the group. NAS100 is pretty much the same thing. If you look at the monthly time frame here, bullish, right? On the weekly time frame, again pretty much the same thing as SPX has hit an area of demand, right? And we are kind of seeing a bit of slowdown there, but bullish. Again, the dailies are pretty much the same. We see a bullish candle, the last daily candle, and possibly we may see a pullback because we see a double top now, right? The 4-hour as well, we see a reverse head and shoulders, right? Inverted head and shoulders. Price did not yet give us a proper retest, I would say, because this doesn't seem to be validated yet, right? So once this is validated, this could be an inverted head and shoulders. But me personally, I would like to see if price can invalidate that and give me a pullback all the way to 14,610 area, right? This is where I'll be taking possibly long positions from. This is where our impulse occurred, right, from the previous week that I mentioned. So this is where the analysis remains the same from previous week pretty much in most of the pairs. And for now, with NAS100, it's quite simple, same as SPX. Yeah, possibly may take counter trend trades if the structure breaks, but that's something I'll keep an eye on and update in the group. Yeah, so in US30 is probably the worst of the pairs at the moment. Why is we see consolidation on the monthly. We go to the weekly time frame, again consolidation, right? And then we go to the daily time frame. Daily time frame also pretty much is in consolidation, right? We see these highs here, right? We see a low here, double tops here, but I would still not trade this because I need to see at least 2 time frames in sync, right? So there's no multi-time frame correlation. So Dow Jones US30, I won't be trading it till I see a break and a nice trending move. So that's my analysis for the week. Something I'll keep updating in the free Telegram group. So join there if you want to be updated on these moves. Alright, so like, comment, subscribe, and until next time. Yep.